blame for Odell's exit?
I blame the front office. Look.
Already.
Yes. They're the decision makers.
Oh.
We've been talking about this from the moment that Odell arrived in Cleveland. We have been discussing, how's it going to work? Is Odell going to get back to form? The catch.
Yeah.
Is he going to elevate Baker? The Browns arrived. They have a star receiver, genius. And we've just been discussing ad nauseum. When is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Whose fault is it? Does it work? Does it fit? Does the offense fit? Does Odell need more targets? Endless conversation. You ever notice when you talk about something and like how it's supposed to work for a long time, you maybe think like, maybe it doesn't work. It's like a relationship, your friends in a relationship, they're constantly complaining and they're trying to fix it. It's like, maybe you guys just aren't meant to be together. That's okay, because there's so many people in the world. You guys both deserve to be happy. Baker deserves to be happy. Odell deserves to be happy. The Browns deserve to be happy. It's all good. Sometimes these things don't work. It doesn't mean that it's dysfunctional. Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, I think, have done an incredible job, a historic job, actually, when you look at how bad the Browns have been for decades, at least as long as I've been walking planet Earth. So this isn't on Baker. This isn't the offense that they run. It's not the style of play that is conducive to a receiver like Odell Beckham. Now, look, there's some blame to go around. We all saw the video. Maybe Odell's open a lot.
Maybe?
Maybe Baker is not capable of getting the ball to him. They're not on the same page. Odell does have some injury issues. But again, that's why I lay this at the feet of the front office. It's the front office's job to put the pieces on the team together. It's the front office's job to recognize when things don't work and don't double down on what's not working. It's okay to be aggressive. It's okay to make quick decisions when you see that things aren't working so that it doesn't spiral into a messy situation, which is what we have now. It's not Odell's job to make Baker better. It's not Baker's job to elevate Odell to the receiver that we saw in New York. It is the front office's job to put together pieces that equal a winning organization, a winning formula, and keep the peace. And that's not what happens here. So, no, this is at the feet of the front office.
At the feet of the front office. Those same feet that never cross the white lines is the front office. How many passing touchdowns does the front office have? Come on, general manager. How many catches do you have? None. So the blame is not upstairs. They gave you an opportunity, and the opportunity has turned into this failure. Now, who do I blame for Odell's exit? Damn it. I am now a prisoner of my own philosophy. I always start off with any incident, any issue in my life of confrontation. Even if I'm the smaller percentage of the blame, I start off with me because everywhere I go, there I am. So in any situation that I have a problem, if I'm Odell Beckham Jr. in this problem, I have to start to look in the mirror first. I think that he has a smaller percentage of blame than Baker Mayfield, but let's start with you, Odell Beckham Jr. Damn it, you were forced here by your own actions or by the front office of the New York Football Giants. But basically, you got traded away, and they gave you a penalty in terms of where they were going to trade you. They traded you to the Cleveland Browns. They said, oh, you want to be a big star? And at that time, they looked around and said, where can a star not shine as bright? Send him to Cleveland. And he gets to Cleveland, and he has this young quarterback, a first overall pick in Baker Mayfield. And they still go out there and actually have 1,000 yards receiving in their combination, in their pairing. Respect, okay? But Odell noticed something real fast. One, the star doesn't shine as much out here as it does in New York. But two, did I just lose 23 yards per game in production going from Eli Manning, and I'm talking about the ashes, the cremation, the remains of the great Eli Manning, the horrible version of Eli Manning, to now this number 1 overall pick who just so happens to not be able to get me the ball to the same degree? That's a little peculiar. But let's go further than that. I'm going to stick to Odell on this block. Next block, I'm going to get to you, Baker, so you just better stay tuned. Baker, Odell went from greatness. Odell's first 3 seasons, listen to this, y'all, 288 catches, 4,000 yards, 35 touchdowns. I'm going to say this again. Y'all know how many people played in the NFL? Whole lot of. Only player in NFL history to reach those marks. Only player. No, I ain't say Randy Moss. Nope, I ain't say Jerry Rice. No, I ain't say T.O. Odell Beckham Jr. But as soon as he met Baker Mayfield, he knew that his best days were behind him. And he found out fast. My last point is this. Baker Mayfield understands what's going on with Odell because it's the same thing going on with the team as a whole. It's a microcosm, this one incident between Baker and Odell of the team as a whole, which is we're not going to take full advantage of the talent that we have. Odell, Baker Mayfield, no way we should be ending up in this situation right now in November, but we are. And Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns, no way that this talented team should be in a 4-4 situation and looking on the outside of the playoffs. But they are. Baker Mayfield, next lap, I'm going to focus in on you, bro.
Okay, so OBJ can stand for oh boy, joy, or Odell Beckham Jr. And my answer is the same for both. Oh boy, joy. No. If we want to look at why it didn't work out, there are plenty of people that we can blame. But if we're going to look at specifically why Odell Beckham Jr. was released, there's only one person we have to look at, and that's OBJ. Because OBJ is the one that his dad put out the visual slander of his quarterback. Did OBJ do anything to refute that? Did he do anything to come back on his dad and say, that's not how I feel? No, the silence was deafening when that came out. That is a co-signing by omission. Who else has had the highest drop percentage of his career? And not just with Baker Mayfield. He's dropping passes with Case Keenum. Targeted 6 times, only 2 catches, 1 drop. Those numbers are not going to get you there. And yet, this isn't really all that new for OBJ. He's been struggling in Cleveland for a while, but they continue to try to make it work. Why? Because there wasn't any ancillary stuff. It appeared that OBJ was trying to be the good soldier in spite of all the struggles. And the thought was, well, let's see if we can capture the magic at some point. We get to a point where we can find a way where we can get OBJ to being back to being OBJ. But once you add the dissension and the conflict and the controversy and the speaking out on social media by family members, then it just becomes too much. And I can't help but feel in the big picture, and the reason that I put this on OBJ is because this is what he wanted. Ultimately, if he wanted to stay in Cleveland, there are all kinds of things he could have done to remedy that, to make sure he stayed there, regardless of how he was struggling. But he didn't. And so I have to believe he saw that this wasn't working. I'd rather take my chances someplace else. I need to get up out of here. So, Dad, why don't you drop a post that's going to create something, and I'll just stay low and let that simmer and convince the Cleveland Browns that they'd be better off without me.
Okay, so, Rick, you took the question literally. Like, who got Odell out of Cleveland? Odell. You are absolutely correct about that. That is true. I took it more as, why is Odell, in the macro sense, no longer in Cleveland? Odell definitely forced his way out of Cleveland. His dad did not put that video together himself. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to assume he did not edit that video himself, and he had approval from his son to post it. And we all know what happens when you post something like that. Nobody's posting anything about Tom Brady like that. No one's posting anything about Patrick Mahomes like that. There's already a lot of questions about Baker in Cleveland. Baker hasn't been paid. Forget everything that's happening with Odell right now. This game coming up is very important for Baker and the Cleveland Browns. There's a lot on the line this year for Baker. So this is a big deal. He knew what was going to happen when this posted. So you're absolutely right about Odell getting himself out of there. But from what I understand, Odell spoke to the front office about wanting to leave Cleveland, and it was not granted to him. Obviously, we know that because the trade deadline came and went, and Odell was still there, to much of all of our surprise. So he had to force his hand in order to get out of Cleveland, which I have no problem with because they weren't using him. It wasn't a good fit, and he shouldn't be there wasting time in what is already an injury-riddled career where he still has time left to play at the highest level. It shouldn't be there. It doesn't work. And that is why it's not on Baker and why it's not on Odell. It's on the front office. You have to see that this doesn't work. And this is true. This is what Odell wanted out for. They have the most stats, the Cleveland Browns, with 3 or more tight ends on the field in the 2021 season with 128. They have the highest percentage of snaps with 1 receiver or fewer on the field in the 2021 season, 22.1. The next highest is the Bengals at 11.3. He's not going to be successful there. He's not going to have opportunities there, and he hasn't. By the way, Baker's percentage of passes as an uncatchable based on target, according to Pro Football Focus,
yes.
Odell has the highest with 35%. All the rest, 20%. This doesn't work in Cleveland, and Odell did force his way out. You're right about that, Rick, but that wasn't his fault. This didn't have to become messy, and there's repercussions to this. We're talking all week now about Odell and Baker, and where's Odell going to end up, and what kind of pressure's on Baker now. This put a big spotlight on Baker Mayfield, because what happens if Odell leaves and is wildly successful? That's on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Now what? This could have been done subtly, professionally. Au revoir. We wish you the best.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful time together. It didn't work, but it's all right. Now it's messy. Now people are talking about, is it Baker's fault? Is it Odell's fault? And that's why it's on the front office.
Yeah, the only part of this is that if I thought in watching OBJ, whether it was with Baker or with Case Keenum, and I thought, man, OBJ is running the same routes. He's getting the same separation. He's making the same catches. He's doing everything. He's just not getting the ball, or the ball is not there. But I haven't seen that. I've seen OBJ, for whatever reason, have drops that are very uncharacteristic, a long way from the effectiveness of Perrell, for sure. And so my question is, as I look at his performance, not just this year, but over the years in Cleveland, he's never recaptured what he had in New York. And to Marcellus's point, that wasn't just solely because he was playing with a great quarterback there and he's playing with a lesser quarterback now. We saw an OBJ making plays. He was the one who made Eli Manning better. So I have to ask, and I really don't know, and I am interested to see wherever he ends up, if there is a change. But if I see the overall arc of the way Odell Beckham's career has gone over the last few years, this is a trend to the negative. And I'm just wondering, how much is this on his abilities as of right now, as opposed to it's all a reflection of Baker Mayfield and the Cleveland Browns?
Oh, man. Oh, man. This is on Baker Mayfield more so than it is on Odell Beckham Jr. And good for Odell Beckham Jr. finally saying, I'm fed up. I'm gone. I'm going to call my daddy. And guess what? He going to get you back, Baker and Cleveland Browns. And sometimes you got to call your daddy. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's a fight that's bigger than your own muscles can handle. And I got it when it comes to this situation. Y'all remember when Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens had a little bit of an issue, and it came to a head pretty fast, and all of a sudden they went their separate ways. Remember that? Even though they had a magnificent on-the-field relationship. Off the field bled on the field because all of a sudden they had some issues. Front office jumps in real quick, say, hey, we got to separate these guys. That's what happens. All right. But now it's time to play a little people's court. Dun, dun, dun. And we going to try Odell Beckham Jr. He got a case. He the plaintiff. And, oh, Baker, you the defendant. And let me just tell you right now, I'm the DA. I'm about to come for you, Baker. Okay. Was Baker Mayfield ever considered great by anybody in the NFL since he's been in the league? Anybody? Anybody? No. What about that guy, Odell Beckham Jr., who's bringing this case? Yes. Okay. Has Baker Mayfield had a good year, bad year, good year, bad year? Yes. Has Odell Beckham Jr. set NFL historical pace records for greatness in his early first 3 seasons? Yes. And then what happened in New York? His name, his fame, and those injuries. And all of a sudden, you got a cocktail, and New York said no more. He meets Baker Mayfield. And this is what I have to blame on Baker Mayfield. When Baker Mayfield meets Odell Beckham Jr., he has to thank his Lord and Savior. I got one of the best receivers in the world. All I got to do is make this work. But one thing that you shouldn't let happen is that Odell Beckham Jr. regresses. Not on my watch if I'm Baker Mayfield. But it happened, right? Messy situation, got ugly. To the defense of Baker Mayfield, and this is the only defense you have. Joy brought up part of it, the fact that the way that they run their offense, a lot of tight end sets, one receiver sets, pretty difficult to get the ball to your receivers. But if there's a receiver to get the ball to, it's Odell Beckham Jr. Here's the only thing I have in defense for Baker Mayfield. This year, who was the most targeted wide receiver? You, Odell. That's the only defense I get to you. He tried to throw you the ball, but then, Joy, you already let the cat out the bag. He tried to throw him the ball, but he threw him the most off-target receptions on the team. Relationship. Hey, Joy, if I ain't checking for you, this is how I do it. Hey, what's up? But if I'm like, hey, Joy, how's it going? I'm all into it. The perfect pass is the one that they can't drop. Not the one that's in the vicinity and Odell got to do 3-finger catches again with the glove. Baker Mayfield, 35% to Odell off target. Everybody else, 20%, damn near half. Come on, Baker. Now let's talk one more level of this. Because their lack of professionalism, whether you say it's Odell to Baker, Baker to Odell, this is what happens. And then Odell's trying to be a professional because he know he messed up in New York in terms of professionalism. So he's like, I'm going to be a good soldier, right? Good soldier. Then he watching Baker Mayfield not be a good soldier. Did Baker Mayfield's wife, did she just come out and call out the fan base? Oh, yes, she did. Is that out of bounds? Me. Did Baker also call out his own teammate before and Duke Johnson and his money? Did Odell say that was inbounds or outbounds? Me. Did Baker Mayfield call out the medical staff? Did Baker Mayfield even call out his head coach and Hugh Jackson? So Odell's sitting there, you know he got receipts, good soldier, waiting. Give me the ball. Give me the ball where I can catch it. Oh, that's how you want to play the game? 911. Yeah, let me speak to my daddy. All right, my daddy got to set the bomb off. This is on Odell a little bit, but most of it is on Baker Mayfield because none of this should have happened on his watch.